Chapter 35. It'll probably work then, I managed. Kayla stepped inside the elevator. He thinks he mislaid it, she said, controversially. She swiped the card into the slot on the control panel, and the piano came alive instantly. The door slid shut, but the elevator remained stationary. Kayla reached past me and stabbed at the B5 button with her index finger. The elevator began to sink downward. I have a very specific errand in the sub-basement. In fact, she glanced at me swiftly, half questioningly. I'm wondering if you might be a big help. You know a lot about databases, don't you? She had an errand involving computer databases. One she needed to steal the access key to accomplish. I was worried. No matter what Dr. White was up to, it would be a serious, almost evil act for me to alter or destroy clinical data that had been drummed into me. But maybe Kayla only wanted to look at something. That was different. Actually, whatever this data was, I wanted to examine it too. Oh yes, I did. And if she believed there was data in Subbasement 5, then maybe there wasn't anything or anybody else down there. Data. I could live with data. I'd be delighted to find data. I'm happy to see what I can do for you, I temporized, adding. I'm guessing you've been in the sub-basement before. You know what's there? Oh yeah. I got the official tour from Quincy last week. Was there a bitter note in her voice? What about you? When was your tour? And what you're doing today? Obviously it's covert, but you can tell me. I looked at Kayla. Actually, I haven't had any tour, official or otherwise. And my agenda was just to look around. Covertly, I guess. So what's down here anyway? Kayla gasped. You mean you don't? The elevator came to a stop, and its door began to open. But Kayla slammed her hand on the button that closed it again, and stood so that her body blocked the control panel. Sorry, Eli, she said quietly. In deciding to take you down here, I made an assumption I shouldn't have made. What? I began. How much do you know? She cut him. Her eyes locked on mine, and they went a little, well, desperate. I never had a thought of not telling her, but I found I could not watch her while I did. I stepped back and leaned against the opposite wall of the elevator. I held the quivering fufu in my arms, and I looked down at the rabbit and stroked her while I talked. It gave us both some privacy. I told Kayla I had only recently learned that Dr. Wyatt had assisted my mother in having a child without HD, and that I expected she had also made some genetic level changes to me. I told her about my Alice in Wonderland chase of Fufu to the hidden elevator. Then I told her that she was my mother's child as well. I told her that my mother had given Dr. Wyatt her extra eggs. That this had been Dr. Wyatt's price for helping her, and that my mother had paid it without concern. I said that I had not known, still did not know, how to assimilate that information. It didn't actually take me very long to tell her all this. When I had finished, I raised my eyes and found that the desperation had seeped out of Kayla. She just looked tired. I hesitated and then asked, Have I told you anything you didn't already know? She nodded. I didn't know who she was, she said simply, and I knew she meant our mother. I knew what had happened, scientifically, before my birth. My parents told me a long time ago there had been a donor egg, but my father seems to feel he is my genetic father. But I didn't know my mother's name or anything about her, and neither did my parents. That was one of the things I thought I would find out today. I was going to look for it in Quincy's files. I never imagined, her voice trailed off. I couldn't think of anything to say. I wondered why Dr. Wyatt hadn't told Kayla at least some things about a mother, considering that she felt comfortable in telling her so much. Comfortable enough to give her a tour whatever he was doing in the basement. Comfortable enough to introduce her to me. Comfortable enough to tell me. Strange. Maybe he thought it didn't matter to her. Maybe he'd promised her parents, the Mathesons, not to tell. Or maybe, could he have wanted me to tell her? Kayla said, I can hardly believe it. I was at a memorial service. I pulled my thoughts back to the present. Yes. You know something? I'm glad you were there. Me too, said Kayla, but her voice was uncertain. I wanted more than anything to touch her, to hug her, to make contact somehow, let her know. Something. Let her know I was there. But she was holding herself so straight. So separate, we were strangers. I blurted, Would you like to hold the rabbit for a while? She's sort of soft and warm. Kayla looked at Fufu warily, but then said, Oh, okay. As gently as if I were transferring an infant into another person's arms, I handed the rabbit over to Kayla. I had to show Kayla how to hold her, but then Fufu settled in comfortably against Kayla's breast, her nose pink as pink. Huh? Said Kayla. I'm getting pretty fond of Fufu, I confess. Was that a trace of a smile on Kayla's face? I wish I'd seen you chasing her. It was surreal, I said. We watched each other. The atmosphere between us was awkward, but it wasn't unpleasant. It was just new. Well, Kayla said finally, let's get out of this elevator now, okay? I'll show you around down here. And I still want to look at Quincy's computers. There's some things. I'd appreciate that, I said. I'm obviously curious to see everything, including the computer. And you'll tell me what's going on down here? Yes, said Kayla. What I know, which is more than you do, but I'm still piecing things together also. Trying to figure out, decide, well, just some stuff. A troubled look passed over her face. She moved out of the way of the control panel, and I pressed the button to open the elevator door. As we emerged, Kayla cuddled Fufu a little more closely, and I saw her dip her head to brush her cheek against the rabbit's warm, soft back.